Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy daily stories about cheating, revenge, and relationship advice. The day had dragged on longer than I'd anticipated. Work had been relentless, and I was desperate for the solace of my home. As I walked through the front door, the familiar scent of marinara sauce hit me, mingling with the faint aroma of something sweet. Maria was in the kitchen, her hands skillfully chopping vegetables. "Hey, love," I said, trying to shake off the fatigue. I forced a smile as I watched her work. Her energy was palpable tonight, a sharp contrast to my own weariness. "Hi," she chirped, looking up with a beaming smile. "I'm just getting things ready for tonight." "Tonight?" I asked, stepping closer to the counter. The sight of her dressed in a stylish black dress and matching heels struck me. "What's the occasion?" She twirled slightly, her face lighting up with excitement. "I'm meeting Logan for dinner. Remember? My high school ex." My stomach tightened at the mention of his name. Logan had always been a bit of a sore spot for me. Despite Maria's assurances that it was merely a catch-up, I couldn't shake off the unease. "Oh, right," I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. "And you're still set on going alone?" She nodded, stirring the sauce with a little more force than necessary. "Yes. It's been years since we've seen each other. I just want to catch up and see how he's doing. I know you've mentioned wanting to reconnect, but," I hesitated, searching for the right words. "Are you sure you wouldn't feel more comfortable if I came along? Or we could just reschedule," she finished for me, her voice sharp but not unkind. "I appreciate that you're concerned, but it's really important to me. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just dinner." I watched as she tried to return to her cooking, but her focus was clearly divided. Her enthusiasm seemed to amplify my doubts. "Maria, She cut me off with a sigh, turning to face me fully. "Why are you making this into something it's not? It's just a meal. You don't have to worry about it." "But it's not just a meal to me," I said, my frustration bubbling up. "It's Logan. You know how I feel about this. It's a big deal, and it's happening behind my back." She looked hurt and defensive. "I told you it's nothing. If you can't trust me to handle a simple dinner, then maybe we need to talk about more than just this." Her words stung, but I knew pushing further would only escalate things. "Okay, fine. Go if that's what you want. But I don't have to like it." Maria's face softened as she reached for her coat. "I'm sorry if this upsets you. I didn't mean for it to." She left, her departure accompanied by the soft click of the front door closing behind her. I was left in the kitchen, the smell of cooking now mingling with a sense of unresolved tension. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second a reminder of the distance growing between us. I tried to focus on the evening ahead, but my mind was preoccupied. The thought of Maria with Logan, alone in a restaurant, gnawed at me. The excitement she had shown earlier was now tinged with my own worries, and I couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of something far more complicated than just a friendly dinner. The house was too quiet when Maria finally returned that night. It was almost midnight, and I had spent the last few hours pacing around the living room, my thoughts tangled in a web of anxiety and frustration. I heard the front door creak open and then the faint sound of Maria's heels clicking against the wooden floor. I was waiting for her in the dimly lit living room, the soft glow of the lamp casting long shadows on the walls. She walked in, her face flushed, but her demeanor seemed oddly calm. I stood up as she entered, my mood shifting from irritation to an overwhelming need for answers. "Maria," I said, my voice cutting through the silence. "We need to talk." She dropped her keys into the bowl on the entryway table, her eyes avoiding mine. "It's late. Can't this wait until tomorrow?" "No, it can't," I replied firmly. "I've been waiting all evening, and I need to know what's going on." Maria sighed and walked over to the couch, taking a seat. "Okay, what's this about?" I sat down across from her, trying to keep my emotions in check. "You were supposed to be just catching up with Logan, right? But now you're coming home late regularly, and I can't shake the feeling that there's more going on." Maria's face tightened, and she crossed her arms defensively. Are you really going to accuse me of something without any proof? I told you, it's just dinner. It's not a big deal. It's not just about tonight, I said, my voice rising. I followed you the other night. I saw you leaving the hotel with him. Her eyes widened in shock and guilt. You followed me? That's an invasion of privacy. It's not about privacy, Maria, I shot back. It's about trust. You've been seeing him regularly, and you didn't tell me. You've been deceitful. Maria's expression crumbled, and she dropped her head into her hands. I didn't mean for this to happen. It started out as just a catch-up, but feelings got involved. I'm so sorry. My heart sank as I watched her struggle with her emotions. So, what am I supposed to do with this? You've been having an affair with him while I'm left in the dark. What about us? What about our marriage? I didn't want to hurt you, Maria said through her tears. I thought I could handle it. I didn't know it would go this far. I stood up, my frustration boiling over. It's not just about you anymore. It's about us, our life together. This isn't something that can just be swept under the rug. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with regret. What do you want me to do? It's too late to fix this. I don't know what to do, I said, my voice breaking. But we need to figure out how to move forward. This isn't something we can ignore. The argument continued with both of us raising our voices, each trying to be heard over the other's pain and disappointment. The night wore on, our heated words echoing through the empty rooms. Finally, we both fell silent, exhausted and defeated. I guess we have a lot to figure out, I said quietly, the weight of our confrontation settling heavily between us. Maria nodded, her shoulders slumped in resignation. Yes, I guess we do. With that, we retreated to separate corners of the house, the silence between us now filled with the heavy realization that our relationship was fundamentally broken. The argument had only served to highlight the distance that had grown between us, leaving us both to grapple with the painful truth of our situation. The weeks following our argument felt like a blur of tense silence and unspoken resentment. Maria's late nights at work became increasingly frequent, and my unease grew with each passing day. I found myself obsessively checking her schedule and wondering what she was doing during those long absences. One evening, unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, I decided to follow her. I waited until she left for what she claimed was another late work shift, then slipped out the door behind her. I trailed her car, trying to keep my nerves steady, my heart pounding with every turn she made. Maria's car pulled into the parking lot of a downtown hotel. My stomach churned as I parked across the street and watched her enter the lobby. I glanced at my watch, almost 8 o'clock. I sat there, my mind racing through a mix of anxiety and anger. Hours later, I saw her walking out of the hotel with Logan by her side. They were close, their conversation intimate, and they exchanged a few affectionate glances before getting into Logan's car. I took out my phone and snapped several photos from a distance, my hands shaking with each click of the shutter. That night, I went through the photos over and over, each image a painful reminder of Maria's betrayal. The following day, I confronted her as soon as she walked through the door, looking exhausted and frazzled. Maria, we need to talk, I said, trying to keep my voice steady as she entered the house. She glanced at me, her face weary. What now? I followed you last night, I said, holding up the photos. I saw you leaving the hotel with Logan. This isn't just about late nights anymore. It's clear you've been seeing him. Her face went pale as she took in the images. Oh my God, you followed me. This is... I didn't mean for you to find out this way. Then how was I supposed to find out? I said, frustration spilling out. You've been deceitful. All this time, you were sneaking around and lying. I know it looks bad, she said, her voice trembling. But I didn't want to hurt you. It started as something innocent. It just got out of hand, out of hand. I echoed, my voice rising. We're talking about an affair, Maria. This is not just getting out of hand. This is a complete breach of trust. She started to cry, her tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to stop it once it started. I thought I could manage it without it affecting us. Manage it? I said, feeling a cold fury rise within me. You didn't manage anything. You betrayed me. You broke our vows. This isn't something that can be fixed with an apology. Maria fell silent, her shoulders shaking with sobs. What do we do now? The question hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. I don't know, I said quietly. But I can't continue living like this. We need to figure out how to handle this situation, and it starts with facing the truth. We spent the next few days in a strained silence, each of us grappling with the fallout from the confrontation. Our conversations were limited to practical matters: where to get the divorce papers, how to divide our belongings. The emotional weight of the situation was too much to bear, and the once familiar comfort of our home now felt like a reminder of everything we had lost. The realization that our marriage had unraveled so completely was a bitter pill to swallow. The pain of betrayal was raw and unrelenting, and as we faced the inevitable reality of our separation, it was clear that the relationship we had once cherished was now nothing more than a series of painful memories and broken promises. Months had passed since Maria and I had finalized our divorce. The pain had softened into a more manageable ache, and the sting of betrayal had begun to fade. I had moved on, finding solace and a new sense of purpose in my relationship with Renee, a thoughtful and caring woman who had helped me rediscover joy in everyday moments. It was a crisp fall afternoon when Maria reached out. I was at a coffee shop with Renee, enjoying a quiet moment together, when I saw a familiar figure approach through the glass doors. Maria looked hesitant but determined as she walked over to our table. "Hi," she said, her voice soft and uncertain. "Do you mind if we talk?" I looked at Renee, who gave me a reassuring nod before getting up. "I'll be outside," she said, squeezing my shoulder gently. Maria took a seat across from me, her face lined with regret and exhaustion. "I know this is unexpected, but I needed to talk to you." I studied her for a moment, then nodded. "What's on your mind?" Maria took a deep breath, her eyes reflecting a mixture of guilt and sorrow. "I wanted to apologize for everything that happened. And I need to tell you something. Logan wasn't faithful either. He had an affair." The revelation caught me off guard. "Logan? I didn't expect that. How did you find out?" "After we broke up, I tried to move on," Maria said, her voice trembling. "But Logan's betrayal hit me hard. I found out through mutual friends and eventually saw him with someone else." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, feeling a mix of empathy and detachment. "It's a tough situation all around." Maria nodded, her eyes welling up. "I've had a lot of time to reflect. I made mistakes, and I'm really sorry for how everything turned out." "It's a hard thing to process," I said, my voice softer now. "But I'm moving forward with my life. I'm seeing someone new. Her name is Renee." Maria looked up, a hint of a smile touching her lips. "I'm glad to hear that. You deserve to be happy. I hope she makes you happy." "She does," I said. "We're building something new together. It's been a healing process, but I'm optimistic about the future." The conversation was heavy but oddly cathartic. Maria and I shared a moment of mutual understanding, acknowledging the mistakes and regrets from our past while recognizing the importance of moving forward. "Well," Maria said, standing up and offering a small, sad smile. "I should get going. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry for everything." "I appreciate that, Maria," I said, standing as well. "I hope things get better for you." As she walked away, I watched her leave with a sense of closure. The past had its grip on me for a while, but with Renee by my side, I felt ready to embrace the future. Maria's presence in my life had been significant, but it was time to let go and focus on the new beginnings that awaited. Renee returned to the table, her eyes full of curiosity. "How did it go?" "Better than I expected," I said, reaching for her hand. "We both got a bit of closure." Renee squeezed my hand and smiled. "That's good to hear. I'm here for you, no matter what. As we finished our coffee and left the shop, I felt a renewed sense of hope. The path ahead was still uncertain, but with the support of those who cared for me, I was ready to face it with optimism and a heart open to new possibilities.